All right. I was thinking about hopping into some Overwatch, but uh Tina won't let me go in, so I might be going through some stuff with my me not even the game, but just the system. Don't know, but I'll try again tomorrow and see what's up. But anyway, I'll be hopping back into some Ace Attorney. So get to solving. Wiki wiki wow, wiki wiki wow wow West, Jim West, Desperado. Looks like we got the boot again. With Lance safe, the focus of the investigation will shift solely onto the murder. You mean the infighting between the kidnappers? Yes, and also the identity of the remaining kidnapper. Miles, my boy! Tell me it's true. Tell me that you finally found my boy. Yes, Mr. Armano. We found him earlier in the stadium. Then my little Lance is unhurt? He's not exactly the picture of perfect health, but his life is not in danger. He's being questioned right now by Agent Lang. Poor Lance. It must have been so horrible for him. Locked up like a... Miles, my boy, I can't thank you enough. It was nothing. I'm still in shock over what happened to Oliver. But I have to say, I'm relieved that Lance is alright. Oh, that's right. I mustn't forget to pass this on to Lance as soon as the police are finished with him. A letter? The way Lance is being chased after by women reminds me of someone I know. I almost can't believe he received yet another love letter, you know? Here, take a look for yourself. Isn't this a breach of confidentiality? It's a very simple love letter. Oh, hey, let me see. That's really weird. It's from a loan company, tender lender. Looks more like a collections bill to me. He loves me not. He loves me not. Oh, that's the 12th one. No, you can't give up, Lauren. Just one more try. Excuse me, but I can't help but feel a bit sorry for all the flowers you've gone through. I suppose if they were me, then... I believe you said that you are Lance's girlfriend when we first met, correct? Yes, I am, but... Oh, it's not like we both think of each other as lovers. But he did give me this ring, so I guess we're not just friends either. I mean, because this isn't just any ordinary ring. It's a ring pop. It tastes so sweet when you lick it. It's so wonderful. Oh, it really is a ring pop. I thought it was some kind of comedic giant jewel, you know, the anime kind of exaggerated, but it's a real freaking candy. You mean to tell me that he gave you a lollipop ring? So which is it? Have you guys not decided if you're going out or is it just one-sided? Decided? Shouldn't the parties involved naturally just know? My father used to work for Mr. Amano, and so Lance and I grew up together. I said it out loud. I don't see how there's anything to be embarrassed about. So your father was an employee of the Amano group. What did he do? I heard his job was to fly around the world. On Pegasus? Pegasus? Oh, Pegasus was the name of the airplane. The airplane belonged to the company. You had me there for a second. But now it's all changed. My father, he isn't around anymore. Oh, I see. About 10 years ago, he rode in Pegasus off to somewhere and never returned. Riding Pegasus to whereabouts unknown. sounds like the stuff legends are made of. It's been so long, I don't think I'd recognize him if we were to ever meet again. I'm so sorry, Lauren. But I won't give in to the madness. I have to live. Yes, Lauren, live. About this incident. Incident? But isn't the kidnapping already over and dealt with? I've been here the whole time, so I'm afraid I don't know much about any other incident. How did you come to know that Lance had been kidnapped? Oh, that's because of my woman's intuition. You base everything on that? I know everything when it comes to my Lance. It's really strange. It really must be destiny. Ugh, she started fantasizing again. So what are you going to do now, Mr. Edgeworth? We already established that there is a good chance that the killer is the other kidnapper. It's my duty to figure out who this other person is. I believe there is one location that might hold a clue or two. The obvious location is the kidnapper's hideout. But we're still not allowed in, remember? Agent Lang and his men should be done with this area. In that case, there is no harm in asking that officer over there to let us in. What do you have to report? Sir, nothing unusual out of the ordinary, sir. Where have I heard such rudimentary before? Is it possible for you to let us take a look around inside? Sir, roger, sir. That was surprisingly hassle-free. Are you certain? Didn't Agent Lang order you not to allow me in? Sir, that's true, sir, but Detective Gumshoe asked me personally to let you in, sir. And I couldn't refuse a request from him. Wow, looks like Detective Gumshoe has a following. Furthermore, I was asked to give this document to you, sir. What is this? The man in this picture. Isn't this Mr. Oliver Deacon? Whereabouts unknown after his escape from Pen Den prison. Penny Den prison? Penny Dent. I think they were trying to do the whole penitentiary kind of situation. Stole a gun from a guard during his escape. We thought he might head for where his wife and sole daughter are, but despite our surveillance, he has yet to show up. The name here says Colin Deveray. That's the same name as the one on the back of the pendant. It appears that Colin Deveray was his real name. What's this? He was convicted in a case 10 years ago and sent to prison. What? Then what was he doing here? Apparently he broke out of jail and then just vanished. He must have become Oliver Deacon to cover up the fact that he was an escaped felon. Could this be the girl's dad? You said like 10 years ago, didn't she? Now I'm not sure what's going on anymore. Is there some sort of link between the victim's past and this current case? These police documents are rather detailed. I should take the time to give them a thorough read eventually. It's fine. Let's focus on one thing at a time, starting with the kidnapper's hideout. Yeah, I agree. We should investigate first. Think later. More than thinking things through, I think you should try remembering things first. Now then, if you could please unlock the door, officer. It was locked up until a little while ago, but since then the door's been wide open, sir. I'm not sure I follow what it is you're saying. Could you explain in a bit more detail? Sir, the door was locked down tight when they went to check out the room. So they got about 10 officers to help out and break the door down, sir. I see. I guess that means I get Agent Lang's leftovers. Well, let's see what we find. So this is where the kidnappers planned their foul deed. Well, you were tied up for a while in the room next door. Hey, please, won't you bring that up again? Now then, down to business. There might still be some clues left in this room. Let's try to find out what we can of the other kidnapper's identity. Watch out, Mr. Edgeworth. It's a broken mirror. It probably came from the haunted house. Why is this here? Are they planning to repair it? A sign advertising the photo rally. Something I have absolutely no interest in. Yeah, but I do. And I'm going to get my hands on the rest of the Badger family. You'll see. He definitely brings a decidedly different atmosphere to a criminal investigation. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious looking nook and cranny. Cheap styrofoam cups. Looks like only 3 cups were used. I wonder what this key is to. You got me. It reminds me of the key we found in the other room. That's it. That must be the key for one of those trap doors. That wasn't a trap door. You only call it one because you quite literally jumped into it. Hey, but isn't that what you're supposed to do when you see one? I am not having this conversation with you. Folding chairs, and by the looks of it, they were probably used by the kidnappers. There are 3 chairs set around the table. There was 3 kidnappers, there's still 1 more left. A poster of the Gatewater land is stuck on this wall. Intrigue, fun, prestige. Gatewater land has it all, and it's waiting for you. It's not especially catchy, is it? This must be where they dispose of old and worn out costumes. That's so sad. It would seem that they throw the costumes away in pieces. Oh, they have barrels like these. They have barrels like these just outside. Yes, and? Well, I know I already asked you when we were out there, but if these were real, what would you put them in? What'd you put in them? There's an expectant gleam in her eyes that I'm about to dash. Hey, there's a trapdoor in this room too. It's not a trapdoor, it's an entrance to an underground passage, okay? I know that. The door leading to the outside world was locked, so Lance must have escaped his prison through here. Beyond this door, where the kidnappers held you after getting the jump on you. Must you keep reminding me? But it's the room where I got to see your awesome face. You didn't need to remind me of that mortifying moment either. Unused folding chairs lean against the wall in their folded state. Oh, wow, whoever lined these up did it perfectly. They're not even a single hair off. I feel bad using these because it'd be like stealing the perfection away. I suspect it's more like you wouldn't want to be the one to put them away. What have we here? Looks like a sword, a broken sword. Strange. Why would it be broken like that? Swords don't usually break on their own. That's true. Alright then, let's think about it in this way. Maybe it broke when someone was trying to use it for or on something. Hypotheticals aren't going to get us anywhere. Perhaps we should think more on this later. This door is thoroughly broken thanks to the police who forced it open. That doorknob handle thingy is looking pretty beat up. I suppose that's what happens when 10 officers break their way in with brute force. Hey, that's odd. The lock on this is completely fine. Look, not a single dent. How is that possible after what the officer told us? Yeah, if the lock had been in use when the door was busted down, then the lock itself should be completely wrecked. But the lock on the door leading to the outside is undamaged. How can that be? The panel that hid the entrance to the underground is propped up and wide open. Be careful where you step, Kay. I only fell into that other door opening once, you know. The common denominator between the cups and folding chairs is that the number 3. Speaking of which, the number of missing costumes also 3. Wait, I thought there were only 2 kidnappers. Indeed, something isn't adding up, literally. Is it possible there is a 3rd kidnapper that Lance didn't see? It's a bit strange that the police had to force their way into an unlocked room. One look at the pristine door lock and anyone can see that it was not in use at the time. But the policeman outside said that it took 10 men to get it open. A door that was locked tight despite being not locked at all. It can only be because of this. Oh, you mean... Yes, it was used to jam the door. Here, take a look at the door handle. Do you see how the handle is completely destroyed? So that's how the sword broke. I thought that we might uncover the true identity of the kidnappers, but instead we've only uncovered more questions that need to be answered. What is it? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, am I correct? What are you doing? Suddenly popping up out the secret entrance like that. This is an underground passage used by staff members, sir. We badgers also make use of it in our duties. Look, why don't you get out of there first, then we'll talk, okay? I beg your pardon, miss? Proto Badger, get! Alright, only one more to go. What are you getting all excited about? Did you forget? The photo rally, duh. See, look, now all I have to do is get a picture of the bad badger and I'm done. Yes, I vaguely recall a contest or something of that sort. What? It's gone! Where did it go? What happened? What's wrong? A bad badger costume is missing, sir. Oh, is that all? Well, it's missing because the kidnapper stole it. I heard about how they were stolen, but they said that only 3 of the costumes have been taken. What? Is he saying that more than 3 of them are gone? Mr. Proto Badger, please tell me a little bit more about these costumes you use. What do you mean by a bad badger costume is missing? Why, just what I said, sir. We are 1 bad badger short. Counting the spares, we have 2 of each costume on hand at all times. Okay, so because of one of them is walking around in the park, the other should be in that room. Actually, both of them should be in that room. Huh? What do you mean? Normally, we don't use the bad badger costumes. In fact, we only use them during a certain event at a set time each day. It's the stage show where the bad badger wreaks havoc around the park. And the other badgers must work together to apprehend him, sir. I'm speechless that such a show exists. Well, sir, I was just trying to explain to you the only time we use that costume. And doesn't that make it near impossible to take a picture of the bad badger? Personally, I can't believe that it's this close to showtime and there's no costume. Oh dear, what am I to do? All this basically means is that the kidnapper stole 4 costumes in total. And are you saying there are 4 kidnappers? No, I don't think that's very likely. Oh? Recall the costumes for a minute. The stolen ones, you mean? If you have 4 people and you had wanted to steal a 4th costume, wouldn't you naturally go for the full set and steal a pink badger costume instead? Yeah, that makes sense. Yet the kidnappers decided to steal another bad badger. I believe the culprits needed 2 bad badger costumes, but the question is, why? The second bad badger costume. I believe it may be closer at hand than we think. What do you mean? That costume in the trash. Wouldn't you say that is wearing some very telltale pants? Hey, you're right. Let's get it out of there and take a look. As I suspected, it's a bad badger costume. Well, minus the head. I wouldn't... Look, its hand is hurt. It looks more like something was ripped off of it. I wonder why this bad badger costume's right hand is torn up like that. Maybe it's a flesh wound from a fight with the blue badger. I always knew the blue badger was one ferocious beast. I somehow doubt that even real badgers are as bloodthirsty as that, Kay.
Eureka!
I believe what we have here is an inconsistency. Between what? Look carefully. Our costume is not holding something in its right hand that it should be. Oh, the gun. Precisely. The bad badger was designed to always hold a gun in his right hand. It's Japan, and they have no gun laws and stuff. Is super strict over there. I'm surprised you have like a mascot holding a freaking pistol. However, you there, did you remove the gun from this bad badger's right hand? No, I did not, sir. The gun is supposed to be securely attached to the costume. As I thought, the rip itself confirms my hypothesis that the gun was forcibly removed. Mr. Pro Badger, the gun is, of course, not a functioning weapon, correct? Absolutely not, sir. It's just a model gun. However, it can fire blanks. We need to use them for the stage show. It seems that our kidnappers also had a need for the model gun, my dear costume friend. It shouldn't even be firing blanks either. It's supposed to be all like a prop. I think we're done with this room. So what's next? Well, we found a few answers, but there are still a few things left that we have to ask a certain person about. Let's go, Kay. Mr. Edwards, sir. You gotta hurry, sir. Come on. What is it, detective? They found a blue badger costume down in front of the main gate, sir. What? Isn't that what one of the kidnappers was wearing? Bingo! That's why you gotta come to the main gate with me right now. If we hurry, we still might be able to get there before Whoop Boy does, sir. Alright, let's make haste to the main gate. Where's the costume, Detective Gumshoe? Just on the other side of the fountain, sir. Was it out here in the open all along? No, it was discovered in the tall grass back there. We moved it out here in order to examine it more thoroughly. You shouldn't do that. You're disturbing evidence. Leave it where it is. We got like forensics team that'll help look for clues despite the certain conditions we find evidence in. Then let's get down to it. Whoa, let's inspect everything, yeah. This headpiece. This must be the Blue Badger officer Meekins crossed paths with. Oh, the nerve of someone throwing a Blue Badger away like this. I worked so hard to create this character. It's like my baby. How could someone do this, sir? How? Detective, how about channeling your anger towards finding the culprits? Good idea. Ooh, wait until I get my hands on. So, who are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Why don't you try figuring out yourself for a change? It's the Blue Badger's body section. What a waste. How so? Going through all the trouble to steal this costume only to throw it away in the end. A real thief wouldn't do such a thing. Nope, no way. I wouldn't think a real thief would steal something so gaudy to begin with. Oh. What do we have here? Oh, it's another pendant. That's 2 treasures in one day. How lucky is that? And hey, this pretty baby's made of platinum silver too. Another pendant on top of the one we found on Mr. Deacon? Is it possible that these two... Hold it right there. Why is he still in handcuffs? Hands off, Mr. Prosecutor. You sure know how to cross the line, don't you? A pendant, huh? This is a very decisive piece of evidence. How can you tell? Look here and read off what you see. Lauren. Hey, is a name that hey, is a name that's engraved on this. Aha! We have you now, Miss Kidnapper. No, you don't understand. Holly, I can't believe you were one of my kidnappers. This guy is supposed to be some kind of lover boy? Frumpy dumpy dude? Lance, you're kidding. Miss Potts was one of the kidnappers? She couldn't kidnap a squirrel. Yes, it was me. I held Lance hostage. But Miss Puffs is one of the kidnappers. But even knowing that, I can't call this case solved or over. Hey, guys, case closed. Get the car ready, and I mean the special one for this young lady. Hold it! Again, Mr. Prosecutor? What is it this time? Are you proposing that Miss Pops is also the culprit in the murder case? What happened? I thought Officer Meekins was your suspect. We found it. Found what? The officer's gun. He literally dropped it in the middle of a thick patch of grass. Your country's police are a sham. Just look how careless they are. Oh, who you calling a sham? The officer's gun didn't show signs of having been fired, so it can't be the murder weapon. So Officer Meekins has been cleared of all charges, I see. And that's when a brand new suspect comes walking onto the scene. The murder only happened because the kidnappers started fighting amongst themselves. As I recall, it was you who said that, right, Mr. Prosecutor? Miss Pops, did you really kill Mr. Deacon? Yes, I killed him. I can't believe it. Thanks for the confession.
Objection! Objection!
Agent Lang, it's much too early to declare this case closed. Look at you, so sure of yourself. We've got the culprit's own confession and some very incriminating evidence. What more could you ask for? Ms. Lauren Pops. Yes? I want to hear it from you. Tell me your side of all that happens. Tell me your side of all that has happened today, from the kidnapping to the murder. But why? I'm a kidnapper and the killer. Isn't that enough? It's fine if you're the one behind everything, but only if that is the truth. Now then, will you tell us the truth? Or is there some reason why you can't? I've had a change of heart. I think I enjoy seeing you sulk away as the losing mutt. Alright, you heard me. Let's hear all about all the evil deeds you committed today. The one who came up with the kidnapping plan was the butler, Mr. Deacon. He knew that we could get rich by holding Lance hostage. Mr. Amano would pay anything to get his son back after all. Everything was going according to plan, but as soon as we got the money, Mr. Deacon turned on me and tried to kill me. There, are you satisfied? She just confessed to her crime a second time. At least you had the guts to admit what you've done. I can at least respect that much. Miss Pops, is what you said really the truth? Yes, it is. If that is truth, it certainly isn't the whole truth, because there's something that seems a bit too improbable in her confession.
Hold it!
How well did you know the victim? I've spoken with him only a few times at Lance's house. A few times? That's it? Yes. If they only met a few times, I don't see how they could have trusted each other. But if you hardly ever talk, then how could he trust you not to steal his plan?
Not so fast!
That's completely irrelevant. He was planning to betray her from the very beginning, which is why he chose someone he wasn't especially close to. Isn't that right, Shanai? Yes, however, Mr. Deacon made a very poor choice. In the end, he was killed by the one he intended to betray himself. Ha! I bet he didn't see that one coming.
Hold it!
You knew? How did you know something like that? Oh no, what should I do? Okay, what's wrong with her now? Come on, isn't it obvious? You're making your scary face again, that's why. Why don't you try asking her in a nicer, more gentle way? No, stop it, Lauren. You're always like this. You always fall for the stern-looking one. That's why you always be unhappy. Or maybe that's it. She's been bewitched by your icy glare. Mind your own business, Kay. Now then, Miss Pops, let's continue with your testimony. Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Amano.
Hold it!
Why did you believe that? Anyone who knows Mr. Amano would think the same. I bet Lance is that old man's greatest treasure. I suppose he would be to a doting father like Mr. Amano. I suppose he would be to a doting father like Mr. Amano. I always figured that was it too, and I was always envious of Lance for it. Oh, because your dad's. I got this pendant from my father, and I believe that as long as I have this, I'll find my father again someday. He'll welcome me into his arms, riding on the back of a Pegasus. That pendant. You must truly believe it to be the wings of Pegasus.
Hold it!
Would you mind telling us a little bit about the plan itself? Well, first we captured Lance. Oh, how did you do that? Well, Mr. Deacon did that on his own, so I don't quite know. Bah, there I thought you knew how to steal people away. I shudder to think what she would do with such knowledge. Sorry, I really don't know, but somehow Mr. Deacon was able to contain him. All we had to do after that was wait for the ransom to be paid, but...
Hold it!
Why do you think he did? I have no idea, but maybe he had planned on doing so from the very beginning. Miss Pops. Wait, Mr. Deacon planned to kill Miss Pops from the very beginning? Was that ever really likely to happen? What should I do? I'm sorry, but I don't think what you just claimed is all that likely. Huh? I don't think Mr. Deacon would ever have been capable of killing you. Why? We were total strangers. It's not uncommon for people to kill each other over money. Miss Pops, you really are clueless, aren't you? Well, what do you mean? You never knew what your role in the kidnapping was, nor do you know who you really are. But I do, and I can show you with this piece of evidence.
Take that!
So what about the this horse pendant, along with the piece of evidence, shows who you really are.
Take that!
These two pendants resemble each other, wouldn't you agree? Hey, you're right. They're the same color and they're made of the same material. I believe that these two pendants are actually one. Shall we give it a try? Wow, it's totally Pegasus. But why? Why does my pendant match up with Mr. Deacon's? You're a smart lady. I'm sure you can imagine why that be. No, that can't be. So the two make a set, huh? It's just another trinket. It's not as though this changes anything. You lack imagination. You lack imagination, Agent Lang. Very well, I'll show you with this evidence.
Take that!
Oliver Deacon was just an alias for this man. His real name was Colin Deveray, the name that is etched on the horse pendant. What? An alias? I suppose he had to hide the fact that he was a felon somehow in order to live. It makes sense given what is written in Mr. Deveray's dossier. But what I really wanted to point out was this.
Take that!
Mr. Deveray had one daughter, and her name is Lauren Pops. That's a lie. That person was not my father. He couldn't come out and tell you he was your father because he was in hiding. However, I believe he was trying to secretly watch over you. Do you still believe that a man like that could kill the daughter he was separated from? Or even that such a man will allow his daughter to get involved in a kidnapping plot?
Not so fast!
And what is so funny, Agent Lang? You're good at making things up in your head and deciding it's the truth, aren't you? What are you trying to say? Your thinking is much too innocent. After all, I've thought of another possibility. Is that so? Well, let's hear it. I'll grant you that the two of them are father and daughter. But isn't it possible that they both knew that fact? It was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in a house of a mono. And the two of them made good use of their meetings to plan this little kidnapping. Wouldn't you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well? So this is his version of how things might have been. You don't have any proof of that either one, didn't you? Didn't know of. Ugh. You don't have any proof that either one didn't know of their true relationship, right? You mean they knowingly committed the kidnapping as father and daughter? That's right. As one really rotten family. That really what happened? I had better take a long, hard look at the evidence. I'll grant you.
Hold it!
Precisely. And what father would willingly kill his own daughter?
Not so fast!
I've seen a lot of things in my travels, and I can tell you that being related by blood is sometimes proof of nothing.
Hold it!
You think they knew? Yeah, I don't think only the victim knew. I think the girl realized it as well. They both knew who the other person was, but they had to pretend that they didn't. Because he was on the lam. You got it. The victim couldn't exactly go around flaunting who he was. Furthermore,
hold it!
One as a butler and one as the friend of the son, you mean. They probably thought that was their best shot. Is that what you honestly believe? Of course.
Hold it!
You mean how they plotted to commit this crime as blood relatives? Can you think of a better partner? They're certainly a clever pair. The butler and the girlfriend. No one would ever suspect they were in fact family. Yes, from the very beginning, they painstakingly practiced those roles well.
Hold it!
I believe you're being a bit too overconfident for someone with no evidence. Am I? Because I don't see you presenting any evidence to the contrary. Without evidence, we're stuck in a stalemate. Agent Lang isn't wrong. His scenario is certainly a probable one. You better hurry up and do something or Lauren's gonna wind up looking really bad. I know, but first things first. Is Agent Lang's line of logic factually correct?
Objection!
This kidnapping wasn't planned by just two people alone. And what kind of proof do you have of that? Quite simply, there were 3 kidnappers. 3! 4 costumes were stolen from the Wild Wild West area's back room. We found one of them in the kidnapper's hideout. But as for the other 3, we can assume they were being worn by 3 different people. We also found a set of 3 cups and 3 folding chairs that were used in the hideout. This all clearly points to a 3-man group, and I believe this 3rd person is the real mastermind behind the kidnapping. Who is this mastermind?
Take that!
It was me, Barry.
Lance Amano. Yes, this abduction was in fact schemed up by Lance himself. Recall what he said when he appeared before us. Did you see the faces of your kidnappers? No, I didn't see their faces, but 2. One was a woman. However, there were 3 kidnappers, which is in fact direct contradiction to what he said. But I know I only saw 2 people. This guy was being held hostage. It's possible he couldn't see all 3 of them. Yes, but when you were being held, I have my doubts about what happened then. Lance, would you mind telling us what happened while you were being held captive? I really don't remember much anymore. Honest. But if I don't tell you at least something, you won't believe me at all, will you? I was kidnapped yesterday morning. They had me shut in that room blindfolded the entire time. But the kidnapper suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. My hands were cuffed, but it was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. I made my escape and ran away from that room as fast as I could. Through the underground passageway, I presume. Are you okay? Sorry, I really didn't want to recall that horrible ordeal, but now you believe me, right? No, not quite yet. How could you not? Why do you look at me with icy daggers in your eyes? Because he's a prosecutor, and because they're all like that. I have you know, Agent Lang, a prosecutor's eyes are for discerning of the truth. And should they be interpreted to be cruel at times, then so be it. There is a sticking point in Lance's testimony. Let's see what he offers out when I push a little.
Hold it!
Can you tell us about when you were adopted in a little more detail? It was a strange morning. I felt like I was right in the middle of a great calm. Where were you when you experienced this calm? Our family garden, of course. Where else could it have been? Well, excuse me for asking. This child is more princess than prince. I was out taking a walk to shake off the morning blah. Then out of the blue, someone from behind me clamps a hand over my mouth. You didn't see your attacker? They must have used some drug to knock me out, because before I knew it, I was off in La La Land. When I woke up, I was in the kidnapper's hideout, already tied up.
Hold it!
By that room, you mean the room in the kidnapper's hideout, correct? Yes, but I was blindfolded the whole time, so I didn't know that until I made my escape. That you were in the same room as your kidnappers. They spoke in hushed tones, but I could catch bits of their conversation. It was definitely two people, and one of them was definitely a woman. I was so scared, I could tell they were nearby, so I didn't dare make a move.
Hold it!
The kidnappers disappeared. The room fell into a sudden silence. I had been left behind like an unwanted mutt. And what do you mean by unwanted mutt? What a pointless question. It's not like he's going to tell you anything new, you know. It's a poetic smile. You should learn how to use them too. You may look refined on the outside, but it's no good if you're not refined on the inside as well.
Hold it!
And those cuffs on your wrists, I suppose you are still cuffed in that case. I am well aware how I am chained to reality. I couldn't find the key, so I'm afraid that I'm stuck like this. Cops normally have a skeleton key. Even though I escaped from that jail cell, I will forever be a prisoner. What a douche.
Hold it!
How did you manage to escape? I wanted to just get out of there, but the door leading outside was locked, which is why I had to use the underground passageway to make my escape. I remember our escape to be equally as hard. This is an invaluable piece of testimony. I mustn't let it go unexplained.
Objection! Objection!
You say that the door leading out was locked, but Was it really? We're talking about that room behind the saloon front, right? Look, I heard that it took quite a few men to get that thing open. Right, Shania? Yes, that's correct. Then take a look at this. What is that? A sword? It's not an especially reliable one if it's broken like that. Allow me to start from the end. My conclusion is that the door was never locked. It was simply held shut by this sword, which was used to jam the handle. Lance, even though your hands were cuffed together, you could still use them. If that's the case, then why did you not just simply remove the sword and escape? Why didn't I? I was disoriented. Yes, that's it. I didn't notice it. As if I should accept such a bold-faced lie. You locked yourself in that room because you had to make yourself look like the victim. But you did not, in fact, possess the key to the door. That is why you used the prop sword to improvise and create a prison of your own. You've been making this guy out to be one of the kidnappers for some time now. I wonder if you've gotten something very important along the way. And what would that be? A motive. What else? Do you honestly think that an uptight, pure boy like him will hatch up a completely pointless scheme such as kidnapping himself?
Objection! Take that!
To put it simply, Lance has a very urgent need for money. This is hardly your typical love letter. It is, in fact, a collections bill. It appears our upstanding boy has accumulated quite a debt. Isn't that right, Lance? Looks like it's hard being the son of a rich man, too. It must be rough when you have to resort to stealing from your own old man, huh? Yeah. Alright, I give up. I abducted myself. Lance! I gotta find a good soundbite for this.
You're fired! Oh my God, he's so
Nah, I don't find like the right sound bites for stuff.
Hot damn!
Why is his hair flowing? Where the wind is coming from? It's over, Lolly. In this life, we really are bound to our fates as well. What telenovela BS is he on? All I wanted was to go with you to our new town, somewhere where no one would know us. I wanted us to be well off with that $1 million, but now that dream is over. Oh, Lance! Then you are giving yourself up? Yes, I had planned to run away from this world with my Lolly. Oliver even helped us with the plan, but then he had to go and stab us in the back. He turned on you. Maybe he didn't want to split the ransom money. That's my guess. It happened almost right after you made that drop-off. When we were alone, he attacked me all of a sudden. After a brief struggle, I was able to contain him and keep him under control. We left him inside that room as Lolly and I made our escape. We wore different costumes and split up. Lolly left first in the blue badger costume. That would mean the person Officer Meekin saw was Miss Pops. But right then, the old man just had to wake up. I was careless, and he tackled me pretty hard from behind. Then Oliver put on the bad badger costume, took the suitcase with the $1 million and ran. I contacted Lolly right away and warned her that he had a gun. They had no idea that they were related, so I thought that it could only be they could only end badly. I still don't believe it. That person was not my father. Because if he was, I just killed my own father. Lolly, then it really was you. That man was not my father. I mean, because at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the $1 million in it. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead. That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. There was a gunshot, the other person crumbled to the ground, and I ran, scared for my life. I think the big picture is finally coming into focus, don't you? Lolly, forgive me. I didn't think it would turn into something so frightening. If only I could have protected you. So, Miss Pops, she shot her own dad without even knowing who he really was. If what she says is true, are you saying she's lying? But why would she lie about something like that? What purpose would it serve? You'd be surprised how often people lie without even realizing it themselves, Kay? Huh? What's that supposed to mean? What I mean is, listen very carefully to her confession once more and you'll see.
Hold it!
Please calm down and slowly talk through this. But all you have to do is simply tell us what happened at the stadium. Leave it to us to search out the truth. Can you do that for me? Alright, so at the stadium...
Hold it!
That was the ransom money, wasn't it? Yes, that's how I was able to identify Mr. Deacon almost immediately. It was all thanks to what Lance told me. And what did he tell you? Well, he called me on my cell phone and told me that Mr. Deacon had betrayed us and ran off with the ransom money. And about how he had a gun. One second. Okay.
Hold it!
Were you able to clearly see the gun? Yes, I got a very good look at it while it was pointing at me. Oh, Father, why would you try to shoot me? Do you really think a father would shoot his own daughter, Mr. Edgeworth? I don't know. I don't want to believe it myself. But it's true, my father's left arm was raised with a gun in it. Pointing straight at me. I'm about to die, I thought. Miss Pops, please calm down and take a deep breath. And then, would you allow me to please hear that last statement one more time? Yes, of course. Wait a minute. I can just go straight to it because this contradicts something here. He's right-handed. Yeah, that's like, didn't he say he was right-handed?
Objection!
I have here a dossier on your father. And according to this, your father was right-handed. Then the person pointing a gun at you from atop the stage was not Mr. Deacon. Hold on there, Mr. Prosecutor. I think you need to take a refresher course. The Bad Badger has a model gun attached to his right hand, which is why the only hand he could have held the real gun was with his left. Isn't it possible that it went down like that? Agent Lang, were you paying attention to what Miss Potts was saying? Then again, I suppose I can't expect someone who has never set foot in a court to catch it. Enough with the smugness. Out with it already. Miss Potts told us earlier. There was a Bad Badger pulling the suitcase with $1 million in it. According to you, the Bad Badger had the gun in his left hand, which would mean that he was pulling the suitcase with his right hand. Is that correct, Miss Pops? Yes, exactly. And I'm sure it was the Bad Badger. He had those huge sunglasses on his face. But if that's the case, even I can see there's a huge contradiction. Yes, Miss Pops. Yes, Miss Pops claims to have seen the Bad Badger, and yet the Bad Badger had both of his hands full. These two pieces of information contradict each other. They were both correct. Impossible. That just leaves us with an irresolvable contradiction. Miss Paul's entire statement rests on the fact that she saw his sunglasses and beard. But what if the Bad Badger wasn't wearing pants on his lower half?
Take that!
The costumes had two parts to them, a head and a body. Oh, I get it now. The head Miss Pop saw was probably really the head of the Bad Badger. However, it is not possible that the body was that of an entirely different badger. A different badger? Yes. Or to put it more bluntly, I believe it was the lower half of this badger.
Take that!
His head may have been the bad badger, but his body was the blue badger's. Blue badger. Hold on, let's see here. Who was it that had one of these on? I did. And so did Officer Meekins, pal. Oh yeah, you must have known.
Take that!
What the heck is it? It's the Proto Badger. Yes, and it's a simple matter of process of elimination. Miss Pops was wearing the blue badger's costume, so we can eliminate that one. And the pink badger is of the wrong color, which would have been incredibly obvious. All that's left is the Proto Badger's costume. Miss Pops, who was the one who wore the Proto Badger costume? That would be Lance.
Not so fast!
Are you saying what I think you are? That Lance Amano donned the bad badger's head and pretended to be Mr. Deacon? On top of which he plotted to shoot Miss Pops while wearing that hideous thing? The stage that was set up in the stadium was nothing more than that, a setup. And its purpose was to lead Miss Pops into believing she had committed murder. Standing there in front of Miss Pops and pretending to be the victim. It was all done so that she would pull the trigger. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why exactly would I have had to do all that, huh? There is but one reason, Lance Amano. You are the real culprit behind the murder of Mr. Oliver Deacon. What? No. That's slander. Take it back. Take it back right now. Just out of curiosity, Lance, which is your dominant hand? I'm left-handed, but what does that have to do with anything? It depends. According to Miss Pops, her attacker held a gun in his left hand.
Not so fast!
Ha! Who is what-handed doesn't prove a thing. And besides, now you're just being absurd. It's not like the Proto Badger is bulletproof. One misfire and he would have found himself dead, right?
Objection!
Of course, logically, he had been shot. He probably wouldn't have been there. He probably wouldn't be here with us. But I believe he had thought of that as well. And prepared accordingly. And this should be all the evidence you need.
Take that!
We found one half of a Bad Badger costume in the hideout, a broken one. It was not the same one that the victim was wearing, plus it was missing something. And that something is the model gun that the Bad Badger carries, which can fire blanks. Miss Paws, where is the gun you use now? I threw it away into the sea. That makes it a bit tough to verify what it was. Although I believe that we can safely assume that it was the model gun in question. I've heard enough. All of you been spouting so far as pure conjecture. I admit that as long as the model gun is lost to us, I can't prove I'm right. However, I can say that the probability that I am right is very high. Okay, let's pretend that you're right, and that the murder at the stadium was a fabrication. In that case, where do you think the murder really took place, Mr. Prosecutor? I don't know yet. Ha, I knew you were full of it. However, I do believe that the murder took place during an earlier time frame. Please, wait a second. It's simply not possible. Because I saw Mr. Deacon after he was restrained by Lance. You saw the victim in a state of being restrained? I came back to the hideout long after the other two. By that time, Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon. He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door. After that, the two of us put on our costumes and made our escape. But Mr. Deacon must have escaped after the two of you left, right? We thought that it would attract too much attention if we left together, so I left first. You know, it's a shame that we couldn't actually be in a courtroom with Miles Edgeworth. Kind of weird. We planned to meet up again at the stage in the stadium. But then, as I was walking through the park, I got a call from Lance on my cell phone. Oliver managed to escape. It looked like he was waiting until I was alone. He also stole the gun from me at that time. And then the murder happened. Mr. Deacon must have overheard their plan to meet up at the stage. Well, Mr. Prosecutor, Miss Pop saw the victim with her own eyes, which means that the victim was still alive at the time, wouldn't you agree? Why does that sound wrong to me? There must be something amiss about this action, by this account. Let's see what happens when I examine it in more detail.
Hold it!
When exactly did you arrive back at the hideout? It was after we had picked up the ransom money. And where were you up to? And what were you up to until that time you returned? I was scouting the park out and making preparation for our escape. Okay, who hit Edgeworth over the head with that sword anyway? I walked around in the various areas looking for the best route. Ah, so each of them had their own roles to play. After I was done, I went back to the hideout.
Hold it!
How did Lance look at that time? He looked shocked. He also looked a little down. When I saw that sadness in his eyes, Thank you, that's enough for now. And what of Mr. Deacon? What was his situation like?
Hold it!
You are sure that it was Mr. Deacon that you saw? Yes, I am certain of what I saw. Did you go into the other room to check? Lance said that it was best if I didn't get too close to him. Lance, he's such a kind soul. Then are you telling me that you did not confirm that it was Mr. Deacon for yourself? I checked through the slit in the door that separates the two rooms. He had a bad badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure. That's just had to be Mr. Deacon. He saw a bad badger's head.
Hold it!
So the tied up Mr. Deacon was still in his bad badger costume. Yes, and it would appear that she misread the whole situation. The person that you saw was not the victim. What? Why not? I will tell you why not with this.
Take that!
Miss Pops, the person you saw was not Mr. Deacon at all. Huh? The person you saw, actually... The person you saw tied up to the beam was none other than Lance. But Lance was the one who showed me the person. You claiming that the boy somehow showed himself tied up to the beam? So, yeah. It was me. Huh? The person I saw was you, Mr. Edgeworth? I always thought it was a bit odd. How would the kidnappers abduct me even after I had handed over the ransom? It's not as though I saw the face of the kidnappers. If I were them, I would have just taken the $1 million and ran. But in the end, there was a point to it all. It was to make me look like Mr. Deacon. And if that was the reason for which I was abducted, then I believe we can assume that the victim was already dead at that time. Well, Lance, am I right? That you showed Miss Potts a person, namely me, with a bad badger's head on, and then made your costume escape together, or so you pretended. What do you mean he pretended? Exactly that. I believe Lance watched you escape and then doubled back to the hideout. Probably to come and remove the bad badger head from my unconscious self. Yeah, and to create his fake prison with the prop sword. He then escaped via the passageway. Hold your tongue, boy. Don't get caught up in that tidal wave of words coming out of Mr. Prosecutor's mouth. Tidal wave? We've heard a lot coming from you, but I've yet to see a shred of evidence. The victim's betrayal and his subsequent detainment. All that could have happened while you were out cold. That's right. You were out for quite a while, Mr. Prosecutor. Even if that were the case, Miss Possum would have still seen me tied to that beam. I was scared of Mr. Deacon, so I didn't go into the next room. So I really have no idea if you were in there or not, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, it would seem that you can't prove a thing. Who said that? Please wait. Mr. Armano. Oh, Miles, my boy, it looks like you're really giving it your all. And Lance, it's not good to cause trouble for others. Dad. Let's see, you are the one in charge of the investigation, correct? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry that my son has been nothing but trouble. This probably won't make up for anything, but I have some evidence for you. Oh, do you now? Is that what I think it is? It's the Bad Badger costume the victim was wearing, and a gun. I couldn't wait around for the police, so I went and found these myself. It appears that they were disposed of in the sea. Yeah, is there no one in this country who actually obeys the law? There. Now. Agent Lang, please calm down. Huh, what the heck is that scrap of paper? This appears to be a letter from the Chief of Police. Please allow Mr. Amano complete freedom to do as he sees fit, it says. What? The Chief of Police? Just who does he think he is? The person who wields the highest authority in this area. Oh, there. Now. There now. There's no need to be so upset. Heh, I'm not a cop from this land, so I'm not bound by the laws of your country. Now. This wasn't meant to be strong-arm you into anything. It's just a request. I'm only asking that you please respect the laws of the land. Can't really say no to that. However, returning to the topic at hand, it doesn't matter who found the evidence, its value remains unchanged. Alright now, let's take a look at this new evidence. I've already got the results back. I had a special forensics research lab that I'm on good terms with conduct the test. They verified that the blood on this costume belonged to Oliver. As for the gun, the only fingerprints they could find were yours, Lauren. What? You disappoint me, Miles. I can't believe that you would cause my son such stress and heartache. Thank goodness I was able to find the final piece of evidence. With this, you'll have no reason left to push my poor boy around. That's it? These are the case-making pieces of evidence? Ha! I'll be the judge of that. This bullet hole. It looks kind of burnt around the edges. Wait, those burn marks were left by the gunpowder. This is the most important fact. Why is that? Because it's proof that the victim was shot at point-blank range. Could this be the actual murder weapon? What's this? Looks like there's something inside the costume head. Hey, Sparkle, I bet they're really valuable. Sorry, but they're just pieces of mirror. Why are they in here? Well, are these not the most definitive pieces of evidence you've ever seen? Thank you, Dad. This should be enough to convince even Mr. Edgeworth over there. Make no mistake, There are fingerprints on that murderer's gun, and they prove that it was Lolly who killed Oliver. Oliver was also after Lolly's life. But Mr. Edgeworth, even you must see that Lolly was only acting in self-defense. The fingerprints on the weapon, huh? Oh no, this isn't helpful at all. Look, Mr. Edgeworth, all I want to do is save Lolly. But in the end, all I can do is watch on as she takes the punishment for her crimes. That may be all you can do, however. I still have a case to solve and a job to do. The job of unraveling your insidious lie. You wound me. Why won't you believe me, even in the face of all this evidence?
Hold it!
Those fingerprints. Are you sure they belong to Miss Pops? There's no mistake about it. Through my connections, I had the best forensics techniques money can buy perform. I find that a bit peculiar. What? What? Are you trying to pick an argument with me? Frankly, I don't believe that Miss Pop's prints should be on that gun to begin with.
Take that!
It's simply not possible for Miss Pops to have left any prints on the murder weapon. Because while she was at the stadium, Miss Pops was wearing a costume. Huh? But there's been no mistake. We found the fingerprints. Well, Miss Pops, do you remember touching the gun at all at any time? Yes. As a matter of fact, I did hold it for a bit back in the hideout. I handed it off to Mr. Deacon when he and Lance left for the haunted house. To retrieve the ransom money, I suppose. And there you have it. That is when Miss Pop's prints found their way on the gun. Urgh. Do you understand now, Mr. Armano? The fingerprints do nothing to prove that Miss Potts is the murderer. But you still don't have anything to prove that she isn't the killer, right? You seem very adamant about insisting that your girlfriend is a cold-blooded killer. Oh, Lance. What? No way. I'm incredibly worried about her. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have any evidence, right? That's where you're wrong. I have the evidence. What? How? The story that Miss Pops killed the victim at the stage in the stadium. The whole affair is simply not true because that was not the real crime scene, but a setup.
Take that! Take that!
Let's take another good look at the costume the victim was wearing. Then I believe you will see why it says he was not shot at the stadium.
Take that!
If you look in this area, all will become clear.
Take that!
I'm making all kinds of mistakes in this video. The burn around this bullet hole was made when the victim was shot at point blank range. Ah, so then you mean the murder Miss Olbeck saw at the stadium really was... Yes, she saw two people, but they were separated by a distance. If the victim was indeed shot from below the stage, there shouldn't be a gunpowder burn. Look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants Prosecutor. Since you seem to know all the answers, why not tell us where the real crime scene is then? If that's the case, then the murder must have been happening prior to that. The location where the last victims were at was just before I was in prison was...
Take that!
On a house? Yes, and I have proof that it was highly likely that the victim was killed there.
Take that!
These were inside the costume the victim was wearing. They're fragments of a mirror. A mirror? And what does that have to do with anything? Indeed, you don't exactly expect to find pieces of a mirror inside a costume. Yeah, that's actually pretty dangerous. However, there is one place I can think of where there is a plethora of mirror fragments. And that is the haunted house. Lance Amano, I propose that you killed Mr. Deacon with the revolver in the haunted house. What is this, clue? After that, you stole the blue Badger-mobile to move his body to the Wild Wild West area. The timing of when the blue Badgermobile was stolen confirms this as a fact. Miles, my boy, say no more. I'm sorry, Mr. Armano, but I cannot do that.
Not so fast.
Be quiet. Yes, please do something. Stop that boy from speaking any more nonsense. Ernest Armano, correct? I meant you. Now be quiet, Gramps. How dare you? I don't need words. The only thing I require is evidence. Decisive evidence. And to call these mirror bits decisive is a bit too presumptuous, Mr. Prosecutor. What? Chennai, wasn't there a mirror in the kidnapper's hideout? Yes, there was a mirror there. A mirror that's for the haunted house. You see, isn't it possible the fragments got into the costume there? But Agent Lang, there were no fragments on the floor, so the probability is very low.
Not so fast.
Probability? Lang Z says, on Truth's Path, the word probability does not exist. The only thing that does is definitive proof. The question, Mr. Prosecutor, is, do you have the definitive proof you need? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, do you? Do I have solid evidence that proves the murder took place at the haunted house? The answer is no. See? So since you don't have any, shut up. I don't have the evidence yet, but I'm certain the murder occurred around the time I turned the ransom over. At that time, the only people at the haunted house besides myself were Lance and Mr. Deacon. If I can prove that the murder took place at the haunted house, then I can prove Lance's guilt in the connection to the murder. What now, Mr. Edgeworth? Agent Lang, I have a special request. Yeah? I'd like to prove to you that the scene of the crime was indeed the haunted house. Why in the world are you asking the werewolf for permission? Because I don't really have a choice if I want to find the truth. Alright, permission granted. But you're not to touch a single thing, you got it? That won't be a problem. All that's important to me is that the truth to be brought to light. Doesn't matter by who or how it's done, as long as it is. Chennai? I'm here. Put in the paperwork for the authorization immediately. Understood. I'll go get the Gatewater Group's approval. Who said that? Now. Let's hold on for a second. There's no need to obtain approval, Mr. Armano. Agent Lang, if you would please take a look at this. What is this? Chennai! It's the deed to the haunted house. The deed? Read it out loud. Gatewater Land Incorporated hereby bequeaths the property known as the haunted house to Mr. Armano for the lump sum of $1 million paid in full in cash. What? Oh, as you can see, I am now the legal owner of the haunted house. Are you kidding? When did you? I ran into the owner of the park earlier and we made the deal almost immediately. How quickly things move when you can prepare $1 million in the blink of an eye. That $1 million you paid, don't tell me it was... Oh, that's right. This disgusting suitcase belongs to you, doesn't it? I don't have any more use for it, so you may have it back now. You used the ransom money? My Lance is a good boy. He even apologized for the kidnapping a bit earlier. So I do believe that I will forgive him. After all, he did return the ransom money. That's the way things are. So if you would please discuss things with me from now on. Discuss? What is this to discuss? What is there to discuss? Why, permission to enter the haunted house, of course. While we were busy listening to Lance's story, Mr. Armano was out there preempting us. Permission to search the house is denied. End of discussion. Agent Lang, I want you to arrest that girl. And Miles, you should hurry on home now, my boy, before I really lose my temper. Mr. Armano definitely has the deck stacked in his favor here. What should I do? If I leave like this, the truth will be lost forever. Oh god, that was the longest video. Hey, we'll end things here. God, I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. But have a good night. Hopefully everything will be all right with my Xbox system so I can start playing Overwatch. I couldn't get that tough skin for Amari, but it's fine. But in any case, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a pleasant evening. And yeah, take care.